Okay, well, thank you. I'm pleasure to be here. There's not. I take it all of you are rhythm section players, correct? Do we have any foreigners here, like horn players? Doesn't matter, but an hour is not much time. But we're going to play a little bit, and then I'm going to be asking some questions in terms of what you just heard. And yeah, grab a chair and come on down. And I want you to go away with something that perhaps you didn't come with, but the mere fact that you're here and you've chosen to come to this little session here. It's important to me that you give us some feedback, because I'm not a mind reader, and I do want, like I say, I do want you to take away something, and hopefully something that will help you become even a stronger player. And it doesn't take a whole lot. It's not rocket science, you know, to really be a good player, but it does take concentration. It does take commitment, and I can just quickly just say that I probably have more passion now than I've had when I was your age. What's the average age here? We got anybody 15, 16, 17, 18? Younger than that? 19? 14. All right. What do you play? All right. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay. Come on in, guys. Grab a chair. There's one there. I wish upon you that you do have as much passion about playing music as you do now. I just turned 65, and I'm having the time of my life. Music is fascinating. I even enjoy just looking at my bass. Come on around and grab a seat, guys. Don't just stand around. So if you guys really want to play, you can. If you want, you can do anything you want to do if you want it bad enough. Okay? Nobody busted my bubble when I was your age. No one. So I'm asking you to just, you know, follow it. If you have that passion, go for it. It may change. For some of you, it may change a great deal. But you have to have a passion about anything to be successful at it, no matter what it is. Literally. Okay. Okay. Just a nice smooth snare thing. Just a pedal C, like that first chord. I'll play the melody. The G half. Like the introduction. Keep going. Keep going. All right. Now, I've never played with these gentlemen. I assume that they've played with each other before, but what you just heard, I just heard for the first time. And we just heard for the first time. What was the most obvious thing that happened?
At the very end, I think when you looked at Wayne to like drop out, you assumed to keep playing time?
No, that's not what I mean. The whole, what? We're listening to each other. We have to. We have no choice. If you want it to be successful, and we all play well enough that we can just do our thing. But you can do your thing by yourself. So why would you continue to do your thing when you have an opportunity to create something else? And this is one of the things that I think a lot of you don't do. You only practice what you rehearse. And you miss a lot. In fact, if you can get together with your rhythm section, how many of your rhythm sections actually play when your teachers tell you not to, haven't told you to play together? Raise your hands. How many of you actually play as a group without being told by your band leader? Not a very good percentage. Not a very good percentage at all. It was very interesting. Were most of you at the concert last night? Yeah. Okay. Now, Roland and Brian were in school together. They've known each other a long time. They would just get together and just play. I can remember when I used to just get together when I was at Olympic College. It was a drummer and I, we had classes, or we had classes together, and we had classes, times when we were together and not in a class, and we always, just a drummer and myself. And we would just play for the entire, until the bell rang to get out. We just played. We talked about stuff sometimes, and we just played. But I'm encouraging you to do that. You've already told me this is something that you really need to do. And believe me, if you can do this, you will, because the rhythm section is the section of the band. In fact, it is the motor of the band. And if the band sucks, it's probably because the rhythm section sucks. The horn players can be the most exquisite horn players on the planet. But if the rhythm section players are really just not in there, not plugged in, and not listening, that band cannot get to its potential. It is absolutely not possible. I think, well, who's the most important person in the rhythm section? Someone says the drummer, some says bass, someone said all of you. That's the question, because every one of us is responsible for it. Now I know we may have some disagreement here, but I have the unique ability to completely sabotage every rhythm section I play in. Immediately. The band cannot jump if I am not in control of what I'm doing. Now, everyone has the ability to sabotage the band, but I actually do it better. Because the bass player has to be the person that is the glue. My first, and this is what I do when I play with people that I've never played with before. Now, we're all, these gentlemen came here and they said, you will do the master class with Rufus. They didn't have a choice. But they came, but they had to listen, and because they don't know what I'm going to do. So they're coming to me with big cauliflower ears and attention and tentacles, sonar, because they don't know. You don't know. And this is how you should approach music every day. My first job is to get with this gentleman. I work very hard. Yes, I got my thing that I can do, but I really work hard. So once we start playing, where's the pulse? So once we get hooked up, he doesn't have a choice. Neither does he. Now we can tug and war, and we all do that within just milliseconds of time, because No, we don't know. So you got to come to it very quickly. If you have the luxury of rehearsing, oh, you're supposed to be slamming. So if you come to the band with your pulse, everyone has a pulse. Now we have to somehow marry these pulses to become one. The rhythm section. Okay, now let's go back. I did this as for a reason to just kind of talk a little bit beyond what we just played, because now I want you to recall what you just heard. Just give me anything. Don't say you guys really sounded great. I don't want to hear that. I want you to tell me, what did you hear? What did you hear? Yes.
You guys are really good at leaving space when space needs to be left.
Uh-huh. Leaving space. What does that do if we leave space?
Gives the solos more room.
Allows ideas to settle.
It gives ideas to settle. It, check this word out, put it in your pocket. It allows things to happen. Because we all play well enough, we can make stuff, but it may not be very good. We can make it, we can try to make it. But so if you can learn to leave space, that means you're fairly confident. Because it can be dangerous. It's like going into a black hole. You say, oh. What else? What else did you hear? Yes, sir.
There was a lot of texture change, and it was mostly agreed upon in the rhythm section. You all agreed when you changed texture, go to brushes, go to sticks, go to 4, or 2. There was a lot of communication.
Okay. Texture changes, which means all of us have a certain amount of, like an artist, a painter, has a palette of colors that he or she uses, and you can even mix stuff. We have to do that too. What else? What else did you hear? You were sitting right here, man.
I was sitting over there. Especially in the fours, there was a lot of rhythmic interaction with the drummer, where you'd start an idea and then someone would finish it. There was a lot of, I guess, almost like one unified solo, but it was trading.
Great. What else? Well, that's all we've been talking about, communication now, so we've agreed upon that. What else did you hear? Oh, yes, we kept the form. That's a requirement. If you want to play free, then play free, no tonality or anything. But if you're going to play in the form, we're obliged to play in the form, unless we want to fight. And the bandstand is no place to fight. In my mind, this is a most reverent place. This is my sanctuary, the bandstand. So you play and you convey as much confidence and knowledge so that you can so you don't say, because if I just said, well, let's play, we played this Cole Porter, right? That was Cole Porter, I Love You. It's a wonderful song that I wish I wrote. He says he knew it. He says he knew it. I had to trust that they knew it. He says he knew it. I don't have time to wonder, but by bar 4, I would know whether or not they knew it or not. So when you tell someone that you play jazz and you're a rhythm section player, you have already told them an enormous amount of information. Even though they say, well, you're young, that doesn't really matter. We know a lot of young people who are really like unbelievable. Or I know a lot of people who are older than me and they still can't play. So it's not about how long you've been playing, it's what you do with it as you grow. So you have to learn. So there's a repertoire there. But it's not just repertoire, because you can be taught almost any song. I can teach you a song right now. But I can't really teach you whether or not you have the ability to put it in a place. Does it have form? What is the tonality of it? Is there harmonic movement in it? I don't really know. How many of you actually have a piano at your house? Raise your hands high, please. Or a keyboard. All right. How many of you do not? Raise your hands, please. You have access to one? Do you? No one told me when I was coming up. See, I used to be a trumpet player. I came to my senses a long time ago. I was in the Air Force. I was in the high school, in junior high school, as a trumpet player, and then I was in the Air Force band as a trumpet player, and then that's when I got a hold of the bass, and my whole life changed. And then I saw Ray Brown, and everything changed. But when I sold my trumpet, I bought the bass the same week. I played the trumpet better than I ever played in my life. But I didn't have any desire to be a trumpet player anymore. I couldn't do as much on this, but I had more just satisfaction there. Like I said, I just like touching it, just looking at it. Don't even play, you know. Now, the thing about why I asked about the piano, because I got a chance to play with I was in Chicago. And I was fortunate enough to be playing on these gigs, and it was with Philly Joe Jones. How many of you do not know that name? Raise your hands. Philly Joe Jones. He was from Philadelphia, so that was one of the names. So, but go Google that name, and then just go make a couple sandwiches and do something, because it's just going to load up. But he was a great drummer. Miles Davis loved him. A whole lot of people loved him. But I got a chance to play with him on the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday matinee, and Sunday night. So I get there early on Sunday afternoon in this hotel, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I hear this piano. And I said, wow, Jody got to the gig early. I was early. You have to be early. Rhythm section players have to be early, because you got stuff to do. So I get there, I hear this piano, and I can't, I'm walking down the hallway, and I have to turn around, and there is Philly Joe Jones at the piano, playing the piano. And I said, I didn't know drummers could play the piano. I played the bass, and if you played the trumpet, that's what you did. I couldn't believe it. But then I realized that's why everyone loved to play with him, because he played so much music. No one told me when I was just starting to play the bass. I basically taught myself the bass at 17. Totally by ear. I could read music, trumpet. Took me a long time to deal with bass clef. But if I had someone said, get friendly with this guy, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or your mother or father, they get on your case, or something you make you angry, and you go, but the piano will always be your friend. Always. And so even those of you who do not play I'm not asking you to be a pianist. I'm asking you to just be friendly with the piano. I guarantee you will be a better musician. Any kind of musician. I'm not talking about jazz. I'm just talking about just being a great musician who understands. So when you listen to Bartok or Schoenberg or Hindemith or Duke Ellington or Miles Davis, you are able to hear and enjoy more. I used to hate classical music because I was ignorant of it. Most people hate jazz because they're ignorant of it. And it's our duties to be as clear as possible when we play so people really understand what it is we're doing. So if you're not happy with the way you play, you must start learning how to be happy and love your playing. How do you expect me to like you if you don't like you? You know, you really have to understand. If you do your homework, and most of you are in school now, how many of you are going to go to college or in college in a music program? How many of you will be? You'll go to these classes they call ear training. You'll hate it like a plague. Sight singing. You don't want to do that. I'm an instrumentalist. Don't talk to me about singing. But trust me, if you can sing it, you can play it. Play me any note. Just, play this. You have to learn to teach yourself how to center you. And if you sat down at the piano, you could actually hear. It's really simple. And yet, because we talk about transcribing, I know some of you have already been going through all this kind of stuff. The real transcribing is listening to this, whatever it is, ad nauseum, over and over until you can sing it, whistle it, and then you try to play it. Then you're only allowed to write it down. That's to archive it so you can put it in your filing cabinet. But by that time, you already have internalized it, and you can then use it. Okay? Rhythm section players must be able to do these kinds of things in order to be in control of the music of the section. Okay? Questions about anything with the rhythm section? Yes, sir.
You mentioned that once you started the tune, after the first 4 bars, you knew that all of them knew the tune. I've been having trouble lately. I'll learn a tune, but then there'll be holes if I don't play something for a while.
That's natural.
It's natural.
There's no way that you can learn something, because that's also one of the dangers. To play something 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, try 100 before it starts to really just start getting in your being. Now, there's a disadvantage that you have that I didn't have because I got a chance to play. I can't even tell you how many, probably thousands of times I've played that song we just played over the years, you know. But what you can do is you must be able to keep a repertoire. There's the repertoire of your band, could be original music. There's repertoire for jam sessions. I mean, it's different everywhere, but there's a nucleus of tunes that you learn that you should have kind of in your pocket. Now, there's the ones that you have in your back pocket are the ones that you love, that you really love, and no one else loves these songs better than you. Then you work on them. But you'll find the harmony and stuff will begin to start looking the same. You start listening to, you should be able to play a song. Rhythm section players should be able to play a song if you've never played it before, after the third time, now I'm not talking about giant steps or countdown or some really difficult tunes. I'm just talking about maybe the song we just played. Or even a blues, for instance, just to get on to those, there's certain chord changes that maybe this person liked to use on the turnarounds. You have to somewhere find in your psyche, this is where that word I was talking about, recall. You have to be able to recall certain things about a song that went by and said, wow. Because when I learned how to play, the piano player says, do you know this song? I said, no. He says, okay, I'll play a chorus and you come in after that. Huh? And there's 50 people out there waiting for me to play. So while he's playing, I don't have perfect pitch, I have relative pitch, but he didn't even tell me what key. He didn't even tell me that it had a bridge. So I have to somehow listen. You're talking about those tentacles. And if you've done some homework and you've actually played Green Dolphin Street, you've played the blues, you've played My One and Only Love, In Your Own Sweet Way. I'm just calling some tunes that are standard tunes that are all blues, Tenor Madness. I mean, there's just a host of tunes. If you've actually played those things, some of you are reading books, and you close the book and you might as well pack up and go home. I think that's absurd. You know this saxophone player, Eric Alexander? You ever heard that name? He was one of my students when I was teaching at William Patterson. And he came to us from Indiana University. This guy can really play. He can really play. He could play then. But he would come to the class, and I would go into the group, and they're playing one of these Horace Silver tunes, like Room 608 or something like that. And it's really intricate, and they're burning it. And they're looking at the book. And I mean, I'm standing there listening to these young people play, and man, it's fantastic. I'm standing there for about 10 minutes, and the tempo's, I mean, and he's unloading. He's dropping his knees and the whole thing. You know, he's deep in it. And so I go over and I take the book and I close it and throw it on the floor. And he completely stops. The whole rhythm, everything just stopped. I couldn't believe it. He was really angry. He said, why'd you do that? I said, well, you didn't need it. You weren't looking at it. The piano player wasn't. You guys had your eyes closed, and I just went and closed all the books. Sometimes I go in the room and didn't have any windows. I just cut the light off. Try that sometime. You can really start really hearing some wonderful things because you have to start using a tactile thing. But to make about this story with Eric, he's a very intelligent man. He could have gone to MIT, you know. I mean, he's very intelligent. All of us who play this music are very intelligent people. You can do anything you want to do. But he chose to play music. And he's taking care of serious business, but he was angry that day. And I said, well, I don't really understand. Why are you getting angry at me? You're already playing. You're not looking at the book. And so I got to his intelligence. I said, you're going to tell me that these changes right here is the A, B, A, or whatever the form was. It was like similar, and it ended up being only two basically different things. And I said, you're running all over the instrument like it's no tomorrow. You didn't need this book. Give me a break. And so consequently, he started to just think about that. And he said, wow, you're right. So, after you have played something, even in your band, the rhythm section have more latitude than almost any other section in the band. You should rehearse together and then put the music away. After you see if you can actually play it, and you guys will develop another sense of playing that when you come to play with the band, that band's going to jump even more. I guarantee it. But most people won't close it because they say, well, I can't remember that. I'm not asking you to remember. I'm asking you to recall the sound. How many basic chord sounds are there? Who said that? What are they?
Minor, major, and dominant.
Okay. Can I get 4, 5, 6? Suspended. What are you suspending? Well, see, it's already an alteration. An augmented is an alteration. If I said there were 579 chords that you had to learn in order to be a good player, all of you would tell me to go on somewhere. But there's really not that much. The rest is some jalapenos, some oregano, some garlic, and just alterations of some basic stuff. That's it. And if you go to this person over here, this your buddy, it's right there in your face. If you can count to 13, you're in good shape. I used to go with my group. We had a quartet or trio. We would actually listen to recordings together, literally. We'll get a big old vat of popcorn, and we weren't old enough to drink beer, and I don't drink beer anyway, but we just turned it up, turned the lights down, and listen. And that's because that's taught us how to play. Do not wait on your band director to tell you what to listen to. You don't do it for other things, so if you really want to play jazz or become a more pliable, Brian Blade last night was magnificent, but trust me, he was so free, his pulse, he was so confident, he could do anything. And he's played a lot of different styles of music. You need to have that in your arsenal. Playing funk, playing Brazilian music, playing salsa music, playing polkas, playing Italian weddings, playing bar mitzvahs, you name it, Dixieland. I mean, I've done it all. If it's good, and my only prerequisite is to play with as good of people as you possibly can, period. And you can't put down any music you can't play. Forget it. If you really want to mess up, don't, and you really cannot and must not and should not put down music that you know nothing about unless you've investigated it and really worked on it, and then you'll probably end up loving that music that you hated. Questions, comments, please? Yes?
Peg as opposed to the metal peg, does that affect the sound?
Well, the wooden peg, yes, it does affect the sound. The wooden peg was the original one, except this is on a slant. This is on a different configuration. But the original bass is way back, was always a broomstick. It was wood to wood to wood, and it resonated more. This was long before we had these things we call amps help, because the bass players would have, they could put their whole hand underneath the fingerboard. The strings were that high because they could project the sound. But this what he's asking about is this end pin. Would you turn that and pull it out? I had to actually have another hole drilled. Now you can put it back in. Just turn it as you put it in. Good. Thanks. There's a gentleman by the name of Francois Rabaf, who is a unbelievable bassist who lives in Paris. He's a Syrian. He's actually a gypsy. When he was in his brothers, when he was in 12, 13, 14, they were street musicians. And he can just do unbelievable things on this instrument. Most people would think him as a classical bassist, but he's more than that. He has changed the tradition of how to play this instrument. And it took me a couple years to wrap my head around this whole idea. First of all, to drill a hole in my bass, another hole, a different hole, and this bass is over 200 years old. I didn't buy it new though, you know. So even with that, I had to be really sure that I wanted to do this. But I got a chance to do some workshops with him. But just to let you know, he's almost 80 years old now, and he's unbelievable. He's an improviser. He writes his own music. He's got his own method. He's got a whole idea. This whole idea is of being able to, it looks like I'm sitting down on a stool. And of course now I've changed, it changes the center of gravity. So when the bass is leaning back like this, it's not heavy. If you had the straight pin, it would really be hugely heavy. And the whole idea is just it opens up where I can play without my body going through any contortions. And it also opens up the bow completely. Whereas the traditional way, you have to learn how to do it. Obviously, there are virtuosos who learn traditionally, but that's why it's really difficult, because he did something different. And people hate change. Tradition is really difficult to mess with. But he's a phenomenon, and I've got to know him and meet him. I took some lessons from him, and he plays this incredible stuff, and he's smiling at you the whole time. And it made sense to me, and I've been using this now for almost 9 years. And to me, it really has just, I've never had back problems, but it just opened me up. So check it out, Francois Rabbath, R-A-B-B-A-T-H. Go Google him. You guys live at a time where you can find out anything about anybody pretty instantaneously. But I'm really happy with it. It's just opened up me.
What kind is it? What's the make of it?
This bass, this is made by a guy named Joseph Rieger, German, Mittenwald area. And I've also gone another step. I can actually take the neck off this bass now and put it in a box when I travel, because I don't want to play somebody else's bass. Might be a great bass, but those of you who play guitar or saxophone players, I tell some of my friends, you have to take your bass, man. We can get a bass for you. I say, well, listen, just bring your mouthpiece. I'll get a saxophone for you. Well, no, man. I said, well, why do you want me to do this? So, because I really feel if I'm not happy, or if I'm scuffling with the music, I'm not going to make him happy. I'm certainly not going to be, because I'm going to be preoccupied. I'm going to be cursing this bass, and I'm thinking about the music. That's not how you should play. So you get you an instrument that actually meets you halfway, so you're not fighting. Because rhythm section players can't stop. The moment you stop, they want to kill you. And of course, if you're a bass player, if something goes wrong, I'm sure it's your fault. But that's how important it is for you to really be on top of what it is that you do, because it's a great responsibility to be consistent. Yes, I practice with a metronome. Yes, I play long tones. Yes, I can swing with a metronome. Although I don't need the metronome, because if you know the song, da da dee dong, dee da 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 da, dee dee dong. It can only go that way. If you know the song, that's the way it goes. So the moral of that story is learn the song. Do not learn changes. You learn the changes help you get to the sound of the song. Most of you are still playing changes. I need you to play the sound. And the only way you can play the sound of something is that you play it over and over and over and over and over and over and over until you're sick of it. I used to play with Dexter Gordon. We played Green Dolphin Street every night for 4 years. Every night. I was sick of that song. But I sure wish I wrote that song. But when he played it like it was the first time he'd ever played it. So I had to get over it. And then I started to learn, wow. And then everyone played it. It was a new song every night. It was not only a new venue or new people, but when I play, I don't even see you anymore. So it doesn't matter where you are. Okay? Questions? Yes, sir.
You made the comment that when you guys were playing, that was the first time any of you had heard what you're actually playing. As a bass player, I get hung up, like I have a lot of premeditated lines that I'll just do without even, thinking about it. It just kind of comes out and how I will.
Well, okay, being able to you must have an arsenal of stuff that you can play, because there will be a time, but the only time you should resort to it is if you have 103 temperature and you got strep throat and you wish you were at home, in bed, and you go on automatic pilot to get through it. Only then do you use your stuff. You keep your stuff at the bottom, so you have to really reach for it. But when you're really to me, you miss a whole lot, because especially after the first chorus, I said, oh, he's playing some nice stuff. So now it even opens up even more, so we have, because we don't really know what's going to go on. See, I live, but see, you have to learn how to do this. You have to be not afraid to make a mistake, because there are no mistakes. They just happen to be undesirable things at a time, It can only be really wrong if you continue to do the same damn thing every time in the same place, which means you're not listening. Okay? And if you're not sure, because if you're really trying to create, and believe it or not, every one of us who've been playing a while, if you're really trying to create something, the beat's going to fluctuate and move around a little bit. But if everyone hears it and before you know it, it's almost like Superman is a big thing of milk right here, big old glass of milk, and somehow it gets bumped and it starts to fall, and here comes Superman, goes, puts it back, and everybody plays and they say, what happened? Oh, nothing, I guess. It's that quick. It's rectified that quick. Because the moment that the pulse is annihilated, you should say, oh, what happened? What happened? Quick! You don't wait 4 bars later and say, or you say, oh man, you did that. Well, you just blew the whole thing. There's no time to fight. No time to fight on the bandstand. You cannot fight. You must not. You may not. If you want to fight with people, then go somewhere else. And then, of course, you know, there are people that really irritate you when you play with them. And if they continue to be that way and they destroy the way you play, then I suggest perhaps you don't play with those people anymore at some time. Or, you know, you work it out. And you say, well, this is my best friend. Well, maybe you should be able to talk about it. But no, fight on the bandstand. Talk about it later. Let's go get it off of you. You're not playing with me. Or I would get it off of you and don't put it on him. Say, are you... We're not hooking up. We are not hooking up. What's up? Can you hear me? And it could be just something simple. And it just clears the air. We become very vulnerable as players. But rhythm section players have to be really strong. My job as a bassist is to make whoever I play with sound better than they would if they played by themselves. That's what I try to do. Now, if they do the same thing, boy, it's going to be unbelievable. Okay? A couple choruses. Dolphin. This is a Herbie Hancock tune, just something that we decided that I asked them, did they know? And they said, yeah. And then they said, well, then they kind of looked at it and said, oh, okay, yeah, they played it before. But this is a great tune. I love this song. It's called Dolphin Dance. It's a Herbie Hancock composition. A very productive period. It requires straight ahead. It has kind of eighth note in the middle. It's melodically, it's harmonically interesting. I call it the playground. You have fun in playgrounds, do you not? You're supposed to. As long as you know the rules. You step on the line, they want you to get out of the game. You keep stepping on the line or throwing over the line, so you learn. You learn. Here we go. 1, 2, yeah, right on. 1, 2, 1, 2. Go. Yeah, good. Yeah. Thank you. How about a hand for these gentlemen? Listen, now, I want you, the band, if the band is rocking, it's probably because of what you're doing. If the band is not rocking like it should, it's probably what you're doing or not doing. I need you to rock the band. That's what we do. That's our job description. We're rhythm section players. We are indispensable. They cannot do it without us as well. Okay? Listen to a lot of music. Do not just listen to just one thing. You get information from a lot of stuff. And when you practice, we could talk hours about how to practice whatever, but if you tell people you practice 4 hours a day, you're probably lying, most of it. But if you can practice 15 minutes every day, the exact, with concise, every day, you've already tuned up, everything is great, and you have an agenda, you will improve. You will improve. It's much better than just practicing 2 hours one day, 15 minutes the next day, half hour the next day. It's very inconsistent. So your playing will actually portray that. It really will. Trust me, I know. I thought it was going to jump in my hand. Spoon-fed. No. A lot of you want to be just spoon-fed. You don't have to tell anybody you can play. When they hear you play, right away they say, ooh-wee. When I heard John Patitucci when he was 15 years old, I said, ooh, there's somebody in there. He didn't know he was going to be who he is. He just had that stuff was bubbling. Make it bubble. Make it boil. And have fun. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.